Hi everyone, this is Anil. In this video, we'll talk about how to install RPA on PDI. So to do that, let's go to platform, open applications and search for RPA. You will see these three, you'll see performance analytics, but you can ignore that. But then you'll see these three applications. The first one is RPA Hub, which is the foundation. So you can install that. I mean, this gets installed on PDI if it is in Utah version. So if you look at the so if you look at this version number, you will see a U as a suffix. That means it's Utah. And once you install RPA Hub, it also installs RPA plugin bundle. And RPA sample template is something you can install additionally on top of these two. Right. So we are trying to look at the components which are installed as part of RPA Hub. So let's go to upgrade history and then look at what are the different components. So we'll try to drill down based on type and see like what are the different components installed. So we'll search with plugin is equal to this. I already have the sort on type. The first set is access control. So there are different access controls which are set up. So we can go to the next one. And then we should see roles, which is the next one, which we can skip those as well. So we'll try to see like if there's any meaningful type that we want to drill down further and review. But I mean, these are all standard setup. So I'll just keep moving. So first we have something called as action management. If you open that, it opens up a table called Sys Declarative Action Assignment. And if you go to any record, we'll see that it belongs to action assignment, and that's assigned to a table and implemented as server script. There's a tooltip, and then it also has action modal fields, which basically have a label and a type, right? So this is action assignment. Now let's go to next type. Next is action exclusion. The table is sys workspace declarative action exclusion. So if you open the record, you'll see that there is action assignment, table, and exclusion. So basically we are saying that this action assignment is excluded for this table. Similarly, next is action payload definition. The table is sys declarative action payload definition. If you open the record, you'll see that there is a payload here. There's a key and a label and applies to related list. So table, parent table fields, and then sys IDs. Action payload mapping, it maps to a action payload, and then action payload fields, which are parent table fields and table, and the mapping is to the related list model. So that's about this action payload definition. Let's go to next type. Next is action payload field. So if you open that, we have its field of type, label, column name. Now it is similar to system dictionary, but it is not the same table. So let's see if there's an extension of system dictionary. So it's an extension of variables table, which is var underscore dictionary, and I believe that extends dictionary entry, which is system dictionary. Yeah. So basically, this is a second level extension to the system dictionary table, and you can see here that there's a modal reference to this, and this is checkbox called configurable, which is on this action payload field. Let's go to next type. Next is action payload mapping. So you can see here that the table name is sys declaration action payload mapping, and if you see the record, we can see that there is a label for it. There's an action payload definition, modal, application, and then map, like on what basis we're mapping it. And then there are a list of modal fields which come as a related list. So that is about this action payload mapping. Let's go to next type. Then there is action type, SysHub action type definition. So this is nothing but the integration hub action type definition. So let's open that. So the name is update work item. So this should open up in Flow Designer. So we have quite a few of them like that, action types. So this one is a action which has a script in it. It basically takes multiple input values and there's a script that runs which does all the work, I believe. So it is in turn calling this RPA workflow, RPA work queue item service, and in that it's calling a function update work item using FD action. It takes inputs. So yeah, that is the action. As I mentioned, we have like few of them. Next is alert rule. So let's skip this actions. Move to alert rules. Sys RPA FDN alert rule. So this appears to be a object specific to RPA. So let's open that. So if I open this alert rule, it says new unattended robot created. That's the example we are looking at. And alert priority, there's an alert priority, alert type, description, applies to trigger type. So these are all the attributes available. And then there's also a message. It can take input values as well. So, and then the trigger conditions are created on robot type. And yeah, the message, I believe they should point to sys message. Let's check. Yeah, sys UI message is where this message points to. So that is that. Let's move to the next one. Then there is something called as alert rule. Let's look at that. So the alert rule is, okay, this one doesn't have any object. So it's alert variable. I don't see an object. That's to navigate to. So I'm just going to skip that. And then we have SysAmbProcessor. So let's check that. Show related record. So this looks like a message processor. So we need to dig deep into this one a little more. And then we have this application menu, which will help you navigate to this from the platform. And then we have application registry, which is basically all entities. And then we have audience. So let's see what this is. So the table name is SysUS applicability. So this is this has specific roles, and then you have this user criteria, inclusion, exclusions. So this appears to be a table which is familiar. Like let's see what is the parent for this. Okay, this appears to be similar to user criteria, right? Where you can exclude, include all of that. But yeah, that is about audience. So basically, it's telling us who can, which roles can access this RPA process jobs. And then we have a set of business rules which are created. We don't have to go deep there. Quite a lot of them actually. So let's filter them out. Then we have category property. So this is all system properties and the categories. So I think that's fine. Let's move to the next one. Then we have chart colors. So I believe we have few reports that come as part of this. So these are all for that. Then you have choice lists which are created. And then we have a few client scripts which are built. Let's move to the next one. Then we have a lot of complex objects. So let's look at them. So sys complex object. So this looks like a flow object, or flow definition. So let's open that. So it is a flow designer object, and it's doing the work of okay. So this looks like a flow designer object. So there are again a lot of them. So we can they should be part of the flows which are there, or subflows or actions. So let's move to the next one. Next type of objects. And then you have this contained roles. So I think that's all part of role configuration. We can skip that. And then we have this cross scope privilege for different tables. And then we have this data broker server script. So this looks interesting. So let's look at that. It says SysUX data broker transform. So let's see what it is. So let's open this. So here we can see data broker server script. It basically has all these properties like name, label, description, sys read-only, field type, mandatory default value. The script, it is making a call to RPA package version service. It is taking RPA package version service dot get by ID as input and returns is attachment invalid as output. And then there is some exception handling as well. So it's interesting to see how ServiceNow has handled this return null as part of exception handling and also as part of else condition. And also ACL failure result also returns null. Right? So that is that. The next type of objects are dictionary override, so we can skip that. Event registration, I think we're good with that. Extension instance, we can look at that. So let's open this. Meanwhile, we'll filter this out. So if you see here, we are extending this class global dot related list item candidate filter process business application candidate filter. So let's open this. Let's go to the definition. There's a related link here. So you can click on that. So let's go to the definition. So here we can see it takes us to sys extension point, and there is name, API name, and there is an example. And then it is implemented in all these places. So yeah, that is about that. Next is field labels. We can skip them. Next, we have a couple of fixed scripts. Let's look at them. And then there is a flow also. Let's look at them. So let's skip what we have already covered. So this is a fixed script running on this attachment table. I think it's basically trying to update stuff on this table. So yeah, that is that. So it's querying on RPA FDN package version and along with this attachment. Yeah, that is that. Okay, the next is a flow. So we are trying to look at so there is a flow called RPA LDR. So we're going to look at that. I'm waiting for the flow to load. So this is the subflow. Let's open this. You see here RPA LDR, it has all these inputs and outputs, and there are all these actions in place. Like, so it basically has like 29 uh, steps in this. First, it will select multiple. If operation is get parent LDR, then it does a lookup, then it assigns some subflow outputs. Else, if operation is get sibling values, then it sets flow variables, it looks up domain records, and then for each item it does some work, looks up robot license distribution, and else if operation is update parent LDR, then it looks up again robot license distribution and updates the records. And then it also tries to get the sibling domains, and then it tries to update sibling assignments to entitle all of that. That's all done here. So this looks like one of the main flows, subflows as part of this application. And then let's see the next one, the start process. So this one is basically starting the process. This one only has like 13 steps. So when it iterates it, it's trying to basically it will trigger a specific bot process, API-based trigger in RPA Hub unit of the status. Okay, so this is used to trigger RPA using API. The next one is RPA subflow. Let's look at this. So this one is taking input as queue item name, and it is adding work item to queue, and then it is assigning subflow outputs. So these are the three like subflows available. Then we have forms, so we can skip that. Form header, we can skip. Form notes, we can skip. Let's move to the next batch. So next we have GraphQL resolver mapping. Okay, I think this is where it gets interesting. So now, so they're also trying to present this data. So here we have the resolver mapping. So basically, it means that there is some GraphQL components involved as part of RPA. Right. So move to the next type. Then we have again a couple of fixed scripts. And then we have here fixed scripts, so we can move forward. Again, we have this GraphQL components. So basically, RPA foundation queries is one GraphQL API, and then after, and as part of that, you have this script resolvers and mappings and so on. Then we have this guided setup. So let's going to filter them out because they're part of the guided setup configuration, and it looks like there are a lot of guided setups available. So that should be a good starting point if you're learning it. Next, we have highlighted value. So let's look at that. Skip the remaining pieces meanwhile, while this is opening up. So sys highlighted value is the table name. So here we have table, field, and the conditions. Highlighted value conditions, which tells you like based on which condition what icon gets displayed, and this is on which workspace. So that's about that. So next object is life cycle control. Let's open that. So this has a display name, life cycle status, life cycle stage, and table. Okay, that's the next one is list applicability. So this is about which list is available in which workspace. So we can skip that. And then we have list controls. We can skip that as well. Then we have this M2M assign UX action config. So let's see what is this. Let's open the record. So this looks like we are assigning declarative action assignment to action configuration. So that's what this is. Again, there are a lot of them. So let's skip them. And then we have a lot of messages which are in place. So we can skip them. Then we have modules. We can skip them. We have notifications also, the notification category, numbers. Basically, we have alert, LDR, and PJP as the number prefixes. So we have those, and then we have related list entries, again related lists. So I can skip all of that. Okay, then we have these relationships. Again, they are used to populate related lists, so we can move forward. Then we have remote tables. So let's look at this one. So let's open the record. So this is picking up this robot license utilization as a remote table. And there's a script for it. And there's also a which is doing the work of adding rows to the remote table. Next, we have screen applicability. So let's look at that. Meanwhile, we'll filter these other pieces. We don't want scripting loads because we know what they are. And let's skip even the script executions. So if you see here, okay, there's no target to this one. Let's open this. So you can see screen applicability and application. So I think applicability is going to bring in like which users can do this or which roles can do this. So that's that. Then we have this form headers for agent workspace. And then again, M2M action layout item, a lot of them, workspace view rules. The next, let's go to the next patch. And then we have a bunch of system properties. So we can skip that. Let's look at this route mapping. Look at this one here. And then see what that looks like. Monday. Okay, this one doesn't have a target. I mean, like I'm not able to open that. But this is the table name, SysUX dynamic route mapping. And there are a few UI actions which we can skip. Then we have UI policies which we can skip. And then we have this UX client scripts and so on. Let's move to the next one. Yeah, so this is basically the various components that are installed as part of RPA. So thank you for watching. This is Anil.